Where did I see you recently?
Over Comcast.
I know I saw you there, but I thought I saw you somewhere else. Maybe there was a speaker or something like that. Didn't go to the chambers. Oh, it's like the lot of people. There's a lot of events that comes up. I never heard that, but I was thinking.
Hey, how are you? Page 7. So, you guys, I didn't see you up there.
I give you second one, three persons.
This is 19, right? That's it. Honestly, maybe he's doing it in a second. Just hang out for a minute till he comes.
I'm going to be here later tonight.
No, we're not gonna be here late. This is quick. Not gonna be late.
He gave me a schedule for the meeting. He gave me a schedule for the meeting.
No, they're sitting at. So they go after one. Yeah, yeah, we are. Yeah, access.
What's ready tonight?
Yeah, we'll be there.
So, 2 minutes.
We can match you.
That's all we have.
Good. You gonna say?
How are you?
Pretty much, yeah. This is what we're gonna do. Not too long. Keep it harsh. Maybe next week. 71.
You already passed the.
Okay, you want to go now?
Which one?
Now you're asking me.
That's what it. Oh, see,
What's the name? Stacey.
Stacey.
Yes.
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 She was saying that. You're something major, but I couldn't be like, hey.
I saw you walk here and you just. Hello,
I'm still here. Me too.
I'm sitting in the chairs.
Okay.
Good evening.
We have a couple.
They're all. They're all here. He's been to the. But then when we go.
They were, yeah.
So, man,
Is there a room for upstairs? I just need her on the same seat.
We have the same labels on random.
That's good, that's good.
that was in
That's
my.
good.
Interesting. I was, oh, who's that?
We have 5. Yes.
You got
5. Those are, 4 of them are required, but I'm making.
It was like,
And which category is it?
Hardware.
Yeah, but particularly.
We have hardware today, we have
Software next thing.
Is that all?
That was years ahead. That was years ahead.
Let's just ask them now, yeah, so we could be, yeah. We'll keep it for that. Field, right?
Sign on our date for the organization.
Oh, we're going. This week would be the determining factor. If the TV comes, then the TV comes.
No, no.
We're just here.
Just a moment.
And
And then the administration comes.
And they don't care. No, he's always got a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Just the opposite.
Exactly.
They come in one day. Let's go. That sounds about right.
Thank you.
It's a big money. It's a big money. You can't have. You can't go on a weekend. Who hasn't been on a private plane with your friends? This happens. I mean, sometimes.
Just two for the chairs to check off.
I mean, it's all right.
Call it peace.
It was nothing like this.
It was worse.
Right.
Coming this side, we all know this is going to.
We have a phone. Another section.
Sandwiches and salads in the back from Nika's.
Sandwiches out.
Thank you.
Chairs. Start out to do this. Everybody eat it. That's it.
I was gonna ask about that.
You could take credit for it.
Yeah.
We'll start the meeting. Good evening, everyone. So housekeeping, we are required to wear our masks. That's due to the fact that COVID-19 is still in existence. City of New Haven, Joint Community Development, Health and Human Services Committee, Wednesday, April 19th, 2023, 6 p.m., Board of Alders Chamber. Meeting can be viewed on Board of Alders YouTube. The New Haven Board of Alders Joint Community Development, Health and Human Services Committee will be meeting in person on Wednesday, April 19th, 2023 at 6 p.m. in the Board of Alders Chambers, 165 Church Street, New Haven, to hear from the city department and agencies with hardware proposals concerned. LM-2023-0214. Order of the Board of Alders of the City of New Haven approving the City of New Haven's 2023-2024 Annual Action Plan Statement of Activities and Use of Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, Home Investment Partnership, Home, Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS, HOPWA, and Emergency Solutions Grants, ESG. Funds to be submitted to the Department of Housing and Urban Development for federal financial assistance for planning and community development activities under the provisions of Title I of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974 as amended, PL 93-383, the Cranston Gonzalez National Affordable Housing Act of 1990 as amended PL 101-625, the McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act of 2000 as amended PL 106-400, the Homeless Emergency Assistance and Rapid Transition to Housing Hearth Act of 2009, and the AIDS Housing Opportunity Act PL 102-550, hereafter referred to as Housing and Community Development Program Acts, and for activities to be funded by program income and/or reprogramming funds from prior grant years. This item is on file and available for public inspection in the Office of Legislative Services at 165 Church Street in New Haven. Per order, Honorable Alex Guzne and Honorable Frank Douglas Jr., co-chairs. Attest, Honorable Michael Smart, City Town Clerk. If you need an accessibility related accommodation, please contact 203-946-7651 voice or 203-946-8582 TTY. In accordance with the City of New Haven COVID-19 requirements, all attendees must wear masks. Public may send comments to public testimony at newhavenct.gov. At this time, I will introduce the committee, starting from my right.
Brian Wingate, Ward 29, Community Development.
Eli Saban, Ward 7, Health and Human Services.
Alder Carmen Rodriguez, Ward 6, Community Development.
Alder Frank Douglas, Chair, Community Development, Ward 2.
Alder Alex Guzman, Chair of Health and Human Services and Community Development, Committee Member, Ward 1.
Ward Troy Streeter, Ward 21, Health and Community Services.
Thank you, colleagues. At this time, we will now hear public testimony from the following. First up is Mr. Henry Fernandez.
Gotta get the overview first.
Overview first.
Oh,
From the city.
Overview first.
The overview from the city.
oh, overview. Sorry. Overview first.
Sorry.
Name and address for the record, please.
Hi, everybody. Ron Busy, Office Management Budget, 219 Rainbow Terrace, Hamden.
Allison Harrington, 932 Dunbar Hill Road, Hamden.
Okay, so we're starting the consolidated plan process again. I think everybody's pretty familiar with the process, so we'll kind of just go through a little bit about when the plan started, when the 5-year plan started. So it's 1995 where HUD combined all the 4 programs, CDG, EST, Home, and HOPWA, into one program. And again, it requires completion of a 5-year plan, and then within the 5-year plan, we have annual action plans.
Excuse me, let me just interrupt you.
Yes.
If you're a little more comfortable with removing your mask while you speak, it's fine with us.
Okay. All right, we're getting a little out of breath.
Struggling over here myself.
Okay. All right, so within, we have the 5-year plan. Within each 5-year plan, we have an annual action plan. So we're working on the 4th annual action plan of the current 5-year plan. Okay, and then our annual action plan addresses the yearly priority needs and special goals identified by the city. Then the accomplishments are recorded and submitted to HUD through the CAPER, that's the Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report. And that is due on September 28th of each year. And again, we're entering the 4th year of the current 5-year plan. So we have one more year and this ends June 30th, 2025. So July 1st, 2025, we'll have to start a new 5-year plan. Okay, some of the eligible CDBG categories. So we have acquisition, disposition of properties, public facilities improvements, clearance and demolition, public service, interim assistance, relocation, rehab, construction of housing, code enforcement, economic development activities, special activity by community-based development organizations, housing assistance, and planning and admin. And then within those categories, there's many subcategories. So youth programs, elderly programs, different things like that.
So some of the eligible activities specifically for starting with HOPWAR or housing opportunities for persons with HIV/AIDS is case management, administration, or admin costs up to 7%, office-based rental, which is admin services only, supportive services, street outreach, office space direct supportive services, tenant-based rental assistance or TBRA, short-term rent, mortgage, and utility allowance or STRMU, and permanent housing placement or PHP. For emergency solutions grants, ESG, the eligible activities are case management, operations and logistical costs for shelter, admin costs up to 7.5%, office-based rental, admin services only, emergency shelter, supportive services, street outreach, and homeless prevention and rapid rehousing assistance. For home eligible activities, we have housing development, new construction, admin costs up to 10%, down payment assistance, emergency shelter, supportive services, street outreach, and homeless prevention and rapid rehousing. Proposal must meet one of the 3 national objectives, and these are low to moderate income persons or households, elimination of slums or blight, and urgent needs such as natural disasters, and it's rarely used. Nonprofit agencies and city departments must be able to demonstrate measurable outcomes and beneficiaries. Individual activities must benefit at least 51% low or moderate income persons, but no less than 70% during the 3-year certification period.
Okay, so the annual action plan that we're working on now for next year that starts July 1st, 2023, that plan must be submitted to HUD no later than August 16th. That's a statutory requirement. We try to submit it by May 15th, but it's been pushed back a little bit. So as long as it's in by August 16th, we're fine. We'll probably submit it sometime in the end of June to try and get us a little bit closer to that May 15th deadline. So the application process, M&B, management budget, we receive all the applications. So we'll do a review of the application for completeness, eligibility, and just to check and make sure all the questions have been answered. Then we'll also perform a financial review of the applications, review the budgets, leverage funding, if their agencies need to include their IRS 990s, and audits if they're reach that threshold for an audit requirement. And then we'll also check for eligibility, which is also a HUD requirement. So then we summarize the applications, that's one of the books that you have in front of you. Give a brief narrative of it. And then we met with coordinators in the administration, and what you have here are the mayor's funding recommendations. And then again, management budget will work with the committee for any funding recommendations that you may want to change. We did have one application that wasn't considered for funding. It was a request for new construction, but the agency is not a community-based development organization. So they're not eligible unless they are a community-based development organization. Okay, and then again, just to go over some of the caps, we have the 15% public service cap for CDBG. There's a 20% admin cap also, and there's really no hardware cap, but usually we'll budget the remaining 65% plus any reprogramming funds. For the ESG program, there's a 7.5% admin cap, and then the remaining balance is 60% shelter, 40% prevention. And again, we can go over this in more detail if you have questions later. For home, there's a 10% admin cap, a 15% minimum for community housing development organizations, which we only have one right now, and then the balance is in housing development. And then for HOPWA, there's a 3% admin cap, and there's no project cap, but basically the remaining 97% is for projects.
So committee amendment rules, hardware funds may not be revised to public service or planning and admin activities. But public service or planning and admin funds may be revised to hardware activities. Public service funds may not be revised to planning and admin. Planning and admin funds may not be revised to public service activities. This sounds very convoluted. We will.
Yeah, we'll go through this in more detail.
Yes.
just so it's on record.
Amendments to public service activities must stay within the public service categories. Amendments to planning and admin activities must stay within the same category. All amendments must include a source. Please be aware of the timeliness expenditures of funds regulations, and yearly unspent public service funds and planning and admin funds may only be used for hardware activities in the following year. Hardware funds may be carry over from year to year. So essentially, public service cannot carry over into the next fiscal year. They must spend that within the fiscal year. If they do not, it goes back to hardware.
That'll be as a reprogramming. Okay, so the only other thing we need to discuss is the deadline for amendments. So we have meeting tonight, we have another one on the 27th, and then May 17th is deliberation. So any time between after the 27th, the co-chairs can determine what that cutoff date is for amendments. Okay, so unfortunately, again, we were cut for CDBG. Actually, all programs were cut except for the HOPWA. We did get an increase of just over 100,000 in HOPWA funding. CDBG, we were decreased by 121,000. Home was about 86,000, and ESG was about 5,500. So for all the notifications, we've been emailing everyone. It seems to be working well instead of doing mailings through the mail system. So it seems to be working well. We have over 300 emails on our email list for notifications. We did set up a designated email address, conplan@newhavenct.gov, for any correspondence related to the consolidated plan. We did have a webinar on December 8th outlining the application process. We do that every year. We did not make it mandatory. In the past, we hadn't made it mandatory for new applicants, but just in case someone had difficulty signing on, we didn't want to exclude them if they were just having technical difficulties. We had over 90 attendees to that, so it's pretty well attended. We do offer agencies to submit an application, a printed application as well. Again, if they're having trouble submitting, we used the city's bonfire portal to do that. And that, again, that was well received. A few technical issues, but we worked it out with everyone. And then we have all the applications are saved as PDF files on the city's network. Again, timeliness, expenditure of CDBG funding is another issue that we've been running into. So when you're making funding recommendations, just keep that in mind that we would like to have the projects done within a year. And that's it for the overview. So any questions on the overview?
Any questions from colleagues? Alder?
Thank you. So the only one that can be carried over that you mentioned was the hardware, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for that.
Any questions from colleagues? Any other questions? Alder Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. I had a question about, you mentioned that public service funds must be spent within a year, if not, they get reprogrammed
Yes.
to hardware. Just out of curiosity, do we know how much got reprogrammed or typically is reprogrammed?
We actually have that in the
Yeah,
book, so we can go over that with you as well.
Okay. I guess maybe as a follow-up, and since that number is there, I could probably check
Sure.
it, so maybe no need to.
Yeah, we can get that for you. Usually it's not too much. Some agencies did have trouble executing agreements last year and getting their programs off the ground. So that's, but we can certainly give you that.
Thank you, Mr. Coach.
Any other questions, colleagues? I have one question. So you said there was an entity that didn't quite make it.
Yeah, they weren't eligible. They needed to be a community-based development organization. And there is a application that they must apply to LCI and be approved on that. And I did not bring the application, but there are certain rules that they need to meet. Yeah. Yeah.
Believe in me.
Yeah, so they were, did not submit that to LCI, and we did include that in the new construction application that must be a CBDO before submitting the application.
Any other questions from colleagues? No? No other questions. Thank you very much for the overview.
Okay, so now if it's okay, we can talk about the admin applications that were submitted. Okay, so there are 3 CDBG admin requests, 1 ESG admin request, 1 HOPWA admin request, and 1 home admin request. And these are all our city positions mostly. There is some non-personnel in there, but that's covering the personnel costs, their staff in LCI, CSA, city plan, and management, budget, and finance. So what these positions do, they're help preparing the annual action plan, 5-year plans, and the capers, providing administrative support, processing payments, reviewing payments, preparing POs, and drawing down funds from HUD. There's another environmental review requirement that needs to be done. There's environmental assessments. All funds have to be cleared, and we have to request a release of funds from HUD, and they give us an authorization to use grant funds. So another person does that. Another review is reviewing properties for state and local historic significance, and then the State Housing Preservation Office. We're in constant contact with them on a lot of projects. The other thing staff does is prepare documents for execution of agreements with nonprofit agencies. We're providing technical support to nonprofit agencies, city departments, city administration, and alders. Also, we do review the application every year just to keep it in line with HUD regulations. And we'll just go over just to make sure that we're streamlining it, making it easier for agencies to apply. There's a lot of oversight and compliance with the federal regulations. There are many requirements. There's yearly programmatic and financial monitorings done for all grant recipients, all the nonprofit agencies. There's reporting into this HUD online system. It's called ITIS. And we're responding to any federal findings. We actually have an audit coming up in June with HUD. Again, compliance. And then some of the non-personnel items, there is a lot of advertising that we need to do, again, with the public comment process through HUD. We have some printing, we have a consultant, we have some supplies, mileage reimbursement, which we haven't done that in a while. But these positions are all essential to run the programs.
Any questions about admin requests? No. Any questions, colleagues? No. Seeing none? All right.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Now we'll call Mr. Fernandez from the league. Chair, I'd like to recognize Alderman Miller joining us. Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Henry Fernandez, 89 East Pearl Street, the 14th Ward. And honored to be here before you all this evening. We have submitted a proposal for funds for the building at 31 Jefferson Street, which is a community center space that LEAF operates. And it includes a pool and a gymnasium and a dance studio. It is an old building. It's over 100 years old. And so it has significant needs, ongoing needs for renovation and improvement and repair. So in particular, we're looking for funds that would help replace a damage to gym floor and dance studio floor, as well as heating, ventilation, and air conditioning repairs that are needed in the building. We are honored that the mayor recommended us for funding, but if the board would see in its wisdom to increase that amount to something closer to the amount that we requested, our honor would be even higher for this esteemed body. I don't want to keep you all long. It's pretty fundamental and basic what we're looking to do, which is to renovate a building that is used consistently and regularly by children in all neighborhoods for things like learning to swim and playing sports, and we have a wonderful community garden there as well. But it's particularly the dance studio floor, which was damaged over time due to what was at once a leaky roof, but we were able to replace the roof. And so we no longer have leaks, and so now we feel comfortable repairing that floor, and the same for the gym floor. And then we just have a very old HVAC system, and so every year we make additional repairs and improvements there. I'll take any questions, but that's about it.
Thank you very much. First comment first. I want to thank you for all you do for our kids, for loving on our children.
Oh, thank you.
These are very dear to my heart, so I want you to know that. Questions from colleagues? Questions from colleagues? Third time, questions? Alder Rodriguez.
What would happen if the increase, I see what the mayor put, if the proposed request you've asked, what would take place in those spaces if you wouldn't get the full request?
So, we're always raising money, and so we would look to raise money. We'll be back here again next year, asking for dollars. And we also have another federal grant that we're working on as well. So the reality is that over time, this is going to be several $1 million worth of renovation and repair. And so the more you can do, the better, and we appreciate it. But we will do less if you give less. If you give more, we will do more. And we will take no administrative costs as part of this as well.
an additional question, Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
What would be the impact on the children if you didn't get, let me rephrase that. What would be the impact on our neighborhood children if this wasn't fully funded?
I think let's take the dance studio. We have the wonderful advantage of we have a dance studio that we manage for you all at the Q House. And that is a beautiful dance studio. And the difference between the two dance studios right now is in one we do dance and in the other we don't, because kids would get splinters and injured in the dance studio. So I would say it's those types of things that are the losses, in fact. And then on the HVAC front, I think it's really about efficiency. More energy efficient systems allows us to spend less on electricity and gas, which we can then spend on programs. We're the largest employer of young people in the city, and so we spend a big portion of our the dollars that we have. If we don't have to spend them on gas and electricity, we spend them on employing young people.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you, Alder.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Alder Wingate.
I just want to echo what you said, that, we, did in my heart as well.
Get to the microphone.
As Leap said, teamwork make a dream work, right? That's the motto, right? That's your motto. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Alder Wingate. That means a lot. Appreciate that.
Questions? Any other questions? Alder? So you originally requested $44,000?
Yes, that's correct.
And the mayor is, all right, yeah, I'm good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Alder?
Yeah, that's Alder Douglas, was kind of looking at that number as well. So for the 44,000 that you requested, I know here in the description it says cost of hiring contractors to then carry out the cost. So, so just so I'm also clear, whatever money we end up approving would go towards hiring contractors to do the work, but not necessarily, I don't know, the work itself, if that makes sense. This is a confusing question, I think. But can you just specify what that in the perfect world, 44,000 would go?
Sure. So if the dollars go to, all of these funds go specifically to the actual renovations, right? So we pay contractors to do those renovations. These dollars, they're hardware dollars, so they can't go to program, for instance. They're only for those renovations. But we have other dollars specifically for programming.
Gotcha. And then maybe as a follow-up, do you know like the full, says not the total project cost wasn't provided here, but just so we.
Yeah, I believe the entire project cost is something, I want to say, I think we submitted, I think it was like 125,000 and we're raising the rest. We also have other projects that are not, that are funded and that are not funded. As I mentioned, this is a several $1 million over many years project that we're, but this particular piece is we're excited about because we now have the roof repaired. We feel good about being able to re-energize, particularly the dance studio floor.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Just wondering.
Absolutely, Alder.
Yeah, thank you.
I appreciate the question.
Any other questions from colleagues? Any other questions? Any other questions from colleagues? Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you, Alder. I appreciate it very much.
Keep up the good work, please. Absolutely. Next up is number 2, continuum of care. Deborah Cox.
They're on page 74. Page 74.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you, as well as the opportunity to submit the application that we put before you. The application is to, the request is to rebuild, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh, thank you.
Sorry about that.
No, sorry.
It's okay.
My name is Deborah Cox from Continuum of Care at 109 Legion Avenue in New Haven.
Good, sorry.
No, I'm sorry, I should have remembered. Anyway, so it's to completely rebuild a porch. It's an original porch on a very old home. The home itself serves 5 persons at a time who are diagnosed with severe mental illness. We have about 56 homes around Connecticut, at least half of which are in New Haven. The people we serve are people with severe mental illness or developmental disabilities. This particular request was one of the high priorities. As you can imagine, we have a lot of home renovations with 56 houses, but this one has a very high risk. It's a second, I can show you, it's a second floor porch that has to be closed off because it's somewhat deteriorated. Yes, I have a few if you want me to share.
More of it.
Extremely wobbly. It's been sort of, piecemeal together, and it's at a point where nobody can go on it. It's too risky. We have to block people off, and people with severe mental illness don't always have the best judgment. So it's a high-risk situation right now. So that's why we put this as a priority request, and we have asked for $33,600. The whole project will cost about $40,000. It's all complete hardware, no admin.
Questions from colleagues? Questions from colleagues? No? Any questions from colleagues? No. Rodriguez.
Thank you, sir. So the total cost for the project here, it says 4,200, correct?
40,000.
What?
40, yeah.
42,000.
1,000.
Okay, no, but you mentioned 40. I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, so it's not the total cost. No, that's okay. I appreciate. I just wanted to clarify it. So thank you. And then the requested amount is 36.
36, yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions from colleagues? Thank you all. All the same.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was just wondering, is the plan to reconstruct the deck as it looks?
Yes, yes. It's a historical home, and we have to do it exactly as it looks, which is fine. We just want to make it safe and sturdy.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Questions from colleagues? Alder Wingate.
Thank you for coming. What company are you using to do this work?
I don't know that we have somebody selected at this point because we have to go through the bid process, but we have had people take a look at it already.
Oh.
I don't know the exact companies. We deal with a lot of contractors.
Oh, okay. It's just, I know that wood was high, right? Coming out of the COVID.
Oh, yes.
Right, it was very high, right? And I was just, just looking at options because $42,000 is a lot, right? Right, for for wood.
Yeah.
Right? And I was just hoping that whoever was a part of this used all the options around, negotiations type thing, who is the best alternative to do this work at a reasonable price.
Yes, that's exactly.
Somebody just jacking things up because.
Oh, yeah. No, we never go with the highest.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
All right.
Very concerned with that as well because it ends up costing us. And,
Okay. Because, I see the request here, and I see the mayor has proposed pretty much all of this. And it says that you raised, I think, 8,000 fundraising. Thank you for doing that. That means a lot, all right, in this whole, space. So, that was just my question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other questions from colleagues? No. Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Next up is Cornell Scott, Hill Health Corporation. Dr. Jessica Bruce.
Page 72.
That's it, yeah, page 72. Name and address for record, please.
My name is Jessica Bruce. It's from 428 Columbus Avenue. How are you all tonight?
Good, and yourself?
Good. So it's my first time here. I'm Canadian. I moved here for an American.
So welcome.
Thank you.
And welcome to New Haven.
Thank you. I made a little presentation.
Wish you well.
Thank you. So I just started this job. I'm a pediatric dentist as well. And I'm at Cornell Scott. I'm the new dental director. So basically, our oral health services, we want to prevent infection, we want to prevent heart disease, we want to prevent stroke and adverse birth outcomes. I don't know if everybody can see it. So I didn't have a USB to bring today. So basically, we're trying to serve the low-income families and underserved communities. Last year, we saw 12,360 patients at the Columbus Avenue, the dental department. So basically, oh no, I knew this was going to happen. It cut out. I knew it was going to.
It's okay.
No, it's not going to work, of course. That's okay. So basically, we have some older chairs. And from what I understand, these chairs only have a lifetime of 5 years. So we're up to, I don't even know how old these dental chairs are at this time. So we would like to get some funding. We want to, whatever you guys, we would like to match it. So if you decide to give 15,000, we would give 15,000, 30,000. So we could buy double the, if you're going to do 2 or 4 or 6 kind of thing, the chairs. So basically we're trying to, I'm mad my presentation doesn't work, but anyways, it is what it is. But basically what we're looking for is just to take these chairs and replace them with new chairs so that we can have more access to care. I think it's $1,500 usually that we calculated on a yearly basis for these repairs, and the company that made these chairs is no longer in business. So we're kind of piecemealing chairs together, trying to use older chairs that we have in the basement to use as repair for the chairs that we have right now. So, yeah.
Question. So how many chairs in total do you have now?
We have 12.
12.
Right.
And you're trying to replace all 12?
Well, I don't think we're trying to, as we're going, we're trying to replace them. Yeah, we're not gonna be able to fund all.
And this was 94,000 requested for this.
Right. I don't think that's for all 12. I think that was for 8 chairs.
And then you also mentioned the fact that there would be a matching plan.
Right.
we.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So whatever, if you could fund us something, then we would, match dollar for dollar.
Sounds fair.
Yeah.
Questions? Alder Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. Thank you for the presentation. I just had a quick question. So the description mentions the dental clinic, and then you mentioned the dental department. So the dental clinic, just because I'm not.
Okay, so there's, we have 3 different dental clinics, and we have one in Sonia, one in on Dixwell Avenue. We're just going to go to the Q House, and then we have Columbus. We're looking for the dental chairs at Columbus are the ones that are the older chairs. So basically, the clinic and the it's just the clinic at it's the dental department, but this is the same thing basically. It's just Columbus Avenue.
Okay. And so this dental clinic is just like you mentioned earlier, it serves low income families.
Exactly.
You mentioned 12,360 patients.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. That was I found that out today because that's how much because I'm new, I'm not able to. I just found out I could look at all of these tables that they had available to the previous dental directors.
Okay, thank you. And then maybe just a quick follow up on that. Would this sort of help, because some chairs you mentioned are damaged right now?
Right, so they're under, sometimes they're under repair, and then we lose that chair, so we have less access to care for our patients. which, you know, sometimes we can't use a specific operatory because that dental chair is down. Right now, touch wood, they're all functioning, but it's just a, you know, unfortunately, it's a matter of time before.
Okay, so naturally, if the funding came up to fix these chairs, it mean some of those patients that would have been lost because the chairs wouldn't be working would be not served. Okay, that's really helpful. Thank you, Mr. Coach.
Any other questions from colleagues? Thank you, Alder. Alder Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm reading here that, hold on one second. The funding provided would help to purchase a total of 8 new chairs, correct?
Right, it was 8 new chairs, and then we have 12 in total, but it would be for 8, right?
Perfect. Okay, so that's with the funding you're requesting for today.
It was a little different because now they want the original ask was, I think we would buy 2, and then whoever I can't remember who it was, another. Right.
Yeah.
Right. But now we're looking for funding just dollar for dollar.
Okay.
Yes.
And another additional? And what I'm reading here is, is that the new chairs will be able to provide more efficient cleanings, fillings, and assist the patients accommodate the patients that are coming there, whether they're, you know, they have any.
So the newer dental chairs have more access, like they're just, if you've seen a new dental chair, they're just more like, they do more things.
Yeah.
Bells and whistles.
Yeah.
So, exactly. So again, the amount of patients that you see, absolutely, in the community, especially over the Columbus Avenue site, that is servicing a lot of folks in our community. So a lot of the chairs throughout the years get the wear and tear, and so the plan is to be able to accommodate folks comfortably and be able to ease their uncomfortableness coming to the
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
And we're hoping to get chairs that are more accommodating to, you know, larger patients.
Okay.
Because a lot of the dental chairs that we have now they have a maximum load, I want to say, so unfortunately.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Alder. Any other questions? Questions from colleagues? No? Seeing none?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It was nice
Thank
meeting you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
For the first time, it was good.
Yeah.
I'm so nervous, and that's why I had a presentation.
Thank you.
All right. Number fourth up is Monitor My Health, Inc. Dr. Dana Wade. Come forward. State your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm Dr. Dana Wade with Monitor My Health, 157 Church Street, New Haven, Connecticut, 06510.
There are
Page
80.
Page 80.
So,
Quality Associates.
70.
Nope, 80.
Page 80.
Sorry about that. We just want to be on the same page with you, so we apologize.
it's okay.
We want to make sure we are, no, we're good. Thank you, sir, and we appreciate your patience.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity. Can I start? Whenever you're ready. Yes.
The very top one. Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
So brief description, Monitor My Health is a CDC recognized diabetes prevention program. We are also affiliated with the United Nations Office of Global Communication. Our mission is to prevent or delay chronic diseases and obesity, hypertension, and cancer through lifestyle care. The fund we are requesting now is to address a systemic problem that specifically affect African American and Latino, which is type 2 diabetes risk factor, and also the ramification of it. The COVID has exposed the vulnerability of that population specifically, and there are certain pre-morbid conditions that just make the COVID more severe for that population. So we started a comprehensive program. So we are a nationwide organization, but for this fund, we decided to focus on in New Haven here and to specifically address high-risk populations. And we work with housing authority and also senior centers. So the program is a year program. It's very different than anything that you have seen before. It's a behavioral modification program. So we assess the risk factor for developing chronic disease, and we enroll participants in a lifestyle care program. Lifestyle is a comprehensive lifestyle care where we provide health education, dietary, nutritional advice with a registered dietitian, 4 sessions, and fitness exercise. As you know, that it's very intensive because the program is long. It's at least 6 months, where the participation will be we meet the participant every week, and it's a long program. So we go through a readiness assessment and all to curate those who are ready for a change, and then we start the program. So we have been doing this now for a few years. We have very good results, and we think that with this grant, we will be able to reach that population and make a difference in terms of reducing their risk for cardiovascular disease, obesity, and hypertension.
Any questions from colleagues? I got a question.
Sure.
How long have you been in existence?
Since 2016.
2016?
Yes.
And where were you located at 157 Church Street the whole time?
No, we relocated here in 2020. Before that, our headquarters was in Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Bridgeport. How many people you got working with you now?
We have a team, so we are about 50 lifestyle coach with a CDC certified lifestyle coach. And our goal here is to involve community health workers that live in the community because we like to sustain the program. So with this fund, our goal is to train, because we are also credentialed by the CDC to train certified lifestyle coach. So we hire a community health worker, we train them to be a lifestyle coach, and we dispatch them in the community where they live, because they understand the culture and the communication is usually better in that setting. So we have 50 now that are working with us, 50 lifestyle coach. We also have about 20 registered dietitians that are working with us. We have about 10 fitness instructors.
Do you have any nutritionists in this program also?
A registered dietitian are nutritionists as well.
All right. So how many people have you successfully served?
Very good question.
Say?
Yes. If you take the data on, because we are nationwide, just the data in Connecticut, since 2016, we have served about 3,000 people, mostly
in the
seniors.
Bridgeport area, Bridgeport?
Yes, mostly in the Bridgeport area. In the New Haven area, we have been in New Haven area since 2019. We have served about, I would say, 800 participants in the greater New Haven. You know, going into Wallingford. Yeah, exactly. And then 75% of those that we serve have a decrease in A1C, which is the blood sugar that determines their risk for advancing to type 2 diabetes. And the program that we provide, by the way, have been tested, compared with metformin, which is a medication that they give to those who have diabetes or pre-diabetes to reduce their risk. This program reduced the risk by 71% compared to metformin that reduced the risk by 31%. So it's very effective in reducing the risk for advancing to type 2 diabetes compared to any pharmaceutical medication.
I think it's a great concept. I've always wondered if there was any entity that would address problems before we destroy ourselves. Well, let's just say. Yeah, that's great. Any questions from colleagues? Any other questions? Questions from colleagues? Alder Rodriguez.
Thank you, sir. So some of the funding that you're looking for, it says here, the lifestyle coach will receive training to implement lifestyle changes here in the New Haven area.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. With individuals who have been diagnosed as pre-diabetic.
Yes.
So, if I may, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Most of how will, let's say this comes to fruition here, how would our population know? Are you going to reach out to the clinics in the area, like the young lady who just left here from the Hills Health Center? Because that is community-based.
Yes.
We have them over at the Columbus, and then they have a clinic over at 150 Sergeant Drive, as well as Fairhaven Clinic. So, I mean, there's a lot of terrain to cover. Is that what your thought is to?
Absolutely. So we are blessed that we have a community outreach director, which is someone, a local native from New Haven, that helped us. Actually, we are presently working in housing, Scantlebury, if you know Dixwell, and a Park Ridge apartment, also in Westville. We also have something at Atwater here, mostly Spanish.
Yes, yes, okay.
Yeah. So we have another one at the East Shore Senior Center, which is also African American and Spanish. So we have a community base already that we're working with, that we have been serving the population for the past 2-3 years. Now it's a matter of scaling and adding more people in the program, and maybe developing more partnership as funds allow us to.
Yes, thank you, sir. And you service the senior centers, and you also mentioned you do go into perhaps the HUD housing centers. Okay, great.
We are in 2 housing now that we started, and it's going very well. Yeah. Very effective. But they don't have to take, because we also address the social determinant of health. Part of it is to deal with transportation. We deal with other facility environment. So the benefit of having it in this housing, they don't need any transportation, right? And we work with nurse that work there. We subcontract with the nurse, and that help us also to get the participant downstairs in the living room where we can provide the service. It's a model that has worked for us so far.
Any other questions?
One final. So thank you, sir. So you're doing old-fashioned, coming out to the community to reach the community and handle their needs there with your social workers and a compass of groups of people to try to teach all the different, and I like how you worded it, lifestyle care.
Yes.
It's important to say to do that. It's more respectful than say we're going on a diet, because then we're all resistant to that. So I appreciate that, and thank you for coming out into the communities. That's important. That if they don't come to the doctor, you guys are going to go to them. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So here's on the leverage funding. Center for Disease Control, 5,000. Are these some of your other funders? That's what this is?
Center for Disease Control, yes. CDC, yes, provide us with some funding.
Yeah, who else is leveraging you funding? Who else do you have?
We are CDC, we are NIH, National Institute of Health. We have the senior, the AAA, Area Agency on Aging. That's another big funder. Also, we have sometimes the city. I'm talking about Connecticut now. All our funder. Like in Bridgeport, we have the city of Bridgeport that have been providing this program for kids. So we also have an after-school program where we teach the same principle, but we start early enough through the ARP funding. So we were one of the recipients of the ARP funding, American Rescue Plan. Also, we apply for private donor, because people in our class, when they see the result, because we reverse type 2 diabetes and pre-diabetes through lifestyle care. We have now data that show that people came in our program with advanced stage of pre-diabetes, they reverse it, and after 1 year in program, because the program is in our program, it requires a lot of motivation and support, and then they donate or they talk to donors that help us. So we have multiple sources of funding.
All right. Any other questions?
Yes.
Okay, so you're saying now, how often are they seeing the patients? they're
It's
coming
very
out to them.
intense. So we see them, okay, that's the way it works. The health education is weekly, every week for 1 hour. The registered dietitian, it's once a month. The fitness instructor, because we also send a fitness instructor, is weekly. So they are weekly fitness, weekly health education, and monthly registered dietitian counseling.
So it's really like a really hands-on program.
Absolutely, yes.
Sounds
That's
good.
the only way it works. Because as you know, this is a behavioral modification.
Sure.
The program is intended to change the habit and to sustain health and to maintain health. It takes time to do it. The minimum duration for this program is 6 months, and it's go up to 1 year.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you. Yes.
Alder Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. Just so I get an idea, does your organization like work predominantly, I want to get an idea of like the demographics, like, because I know here it mentions you would want to work with the senior centers, and you mentioned earlier that you already work with a lot of senior centers. So I'm just curious, does the organization predominantly focus on, people who are, 50s, 60s, getting to their senior ages, or is it a mix, or?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
I get an idea.
we focus on high risk, but something with a high risk, as you get older, the risk increase. So by nature of our focus, most of our clients are older because, the youngest are at risk, but not as much as high risk. But there's no age discrimination. We take everyone, we work with every neighborhood, even though the majority now, in all honesty, is Spanish and African American in our class now. We have some Caucasian as well, but also because African American and Spanish has more risk than Caucasian. We do not discriminate against Caucasian. That's not what we do.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair.
Any other questions from colleagues? Any other questions from colleagues? Thank you, sir. Thank you. We appreciate it. Our kids, Randy, not here. Is anybody here from our kids? I don't think, was she, I don't think
She was gonna try to get here for 7:30.
All right, so we'll.
Want to move on to the economic development activities?
All right. So, is there anyone else from the public wishing to testify on these items? Please come forward. Is your name, did you sign the list?
I did. That was over there, or did I sign the wrong list?
Let's look at the
What is your name?
Bridget Russell
Okay.
from
Bridget.
Neighborhood Housing Services of New Haven.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Bridget.
Okay.
Hi, Bridget.
Hello.
Name and address for the record, please.
Okay, Bridget Russell, Neighborhood Housing Services of New Haven, 333 Sherman Avenue, New Haven, Connecticut. So yes, I was going to do both soft and hard costs.
Can we do soft now? We can do soft right now.
Okay, so the soft costs, first of all, I'd like to say good evening to everybody and thank you for all of your support in the past and thank you that the mayor has looked at it and has decided to support it or has recommended support of it. I would love to see it a little bit more in terms of what we asked for, but
85?
oh, okay, no, that's fine.
We just want to be correct and give us just a second. Page 85?
Okay.
That's software first.
Yep. I'm gonna put this on 70, look, I'm gonna do, yes. Sorry.
No problem.
We just want to be able to follow you.
You're with the New Haven Homeownership Center?
I am with Neighborhood Housing Services, also has the New Haven Home Ownership Center, and I actually work as the managing director there. So in the Home Ownership Center, we probably see an average of 900 to 1,000 people on an annual basis. I was just looking at our HUD statistics for the first 2 quarters, and we've seen just over 450 people this year. So a lot of our work is with pre-purchase and also with mortgage assistance, We do education courses, and we've probably seen about, I've probably done about 257 participants in the first 2 quarters for home buyer education. Probably see about, in between 500 to maybe 600. And those figures have increased drastically since 2020, since the lockdown. So you still have a lot of people out there who want to purchase homes. The frustration now is, of course, because of the higher interest rates and taxes and insurances, but it's really great that the state does have that time to own program, which just got replenished, and there are other down payment and closing cost programs out there. So one of our jobs is to really make sure through the education that people know about the different mortgage products out there for first-time home buyers. They know about the different down payment programs that can be leveraged, and that they're really informed when they're out there in the marketplace. At the end of the day, we're always telling people it's not just about getting in homes, we want you to be able to sustain homes. So we do offer the consultations as well. I do have housing specialists. At least 3 of our staff are bilingual, fluent in Spanish. 67% of the folks that we work with are, low and moderate income as well. So, and then on the mortgage assistance side, we've been working very closely with CHFA with their My Home CT program, which great program offering up to $50,000 in assistance to people who are struggling homeowners. So that's basically a lot of what we do in the home ownership center. We only have 3 full-time certified, HUD certified housing specialists. So we're trying to help build capacity. There are a lot of things that we're trying to do, and we're trying to see a lot of people.
Excuse me one second. The chair recognizes Alder Saldicola, who has just joined us. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Any questions for the colleagues concerning neighborhood housing? Alder Wingate.
Hi, Bridget.
Hello, Alder Wingate.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. I can go on and on about this service here, from my neighborhood to each neighborhood that I've sent many people through the university to this program to get help, to get developed. This is all good stuff here, so I'll be pushing on colleagues.
Thank you, we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any question? Alder Goosenegg.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. No, I just wanted to follow up and say I think this is great, particularly because, the city of New Haven has its own down payment assistance program that, through ARP funds that we want folks to take advantage of. And so it's important that we have sensors and folks, staff, to be able to help out with that, with those efforts. So it's not really much of a question, but more of a comment to say, appreciate the work that I'm doing, because it's needed.
Thank you, thank you. I feel very blessed because I feel like I have a really super dedicated staff that really is passionate about what they do and helping people, so.
Questions from colleagues? Any other colleagues like to ask any questions? Alder Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. How many folks do you have waiting to be able to be in the programs to see if we can start?
How many residents do you have waiting to be engaged in the classes?
They are automatically signed up for the classes. One of the things about having to pivot a little bit because of the pandemic, actually, we weren't doing certain things virtual. It would be hard for me to have the capacity of doing like 60 to 70 people in classes per month because we were doing 20 on average per month before that. But a lot of people appreciate the convenience that virtual classes can bring, not having babysitting, can take it from work or wherever. So it's just, we sign them up, I do at least 2 different classes. We do on weeknights, a 2-week night, or some people prefer to do it in one shot on a Saturday. So we offer twice. And then we have landlord classes, financial fitness classes as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Question for me. So here it says, assisting distressed homeowners facing hardships in avoiding foreclosure through mortgage delinquency and foreclosure prevention counseling. I got a call the other day from a young woman whose mother passed. I guess going through probate, well, it's probably gonna go through probate, but her name is not on the deed. So she has to take a different avenue of trying to save the house. So I referred her to probate. Is there anything that you guys have in place to assist in this person gaining access to obtaining the deed to save this house? Do you guys have anything?
So with that, this is where we really depend very heavily on some of our referrals, and that would be a legal referral. So I would probably, there are a lot of attorneys I work with at the Connecticut Fair Housing Center who are excellent. And sometimes that whole thing where people are stuck in that circle of probate and they're trying to save a house. So I would have reached out to one of my contacts there so that they could take a look at the situation right now where she is, because I don't know if they actually initiated a foreclosure or somebody's actually paying the mortgage while it's in probate. If it still has a mortgage, I'm not sure.
So I will refer her to you.
Okay.
I'm looking at these dollars. I just don't think it's enough for you to really operate, but we'll see what we can do.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. So now I'll pivot to hard cost or hardware for neighborhood housing services for our affordable housing development.
Okay, 75. Thank you. Page 75.
Thank you.
Okay, for that, and just to say there are so, first of all, everybody knows affordability is a huge problem. I mean, not just in the state, but probably all over the country. And so, you know, one of the things that we really wanted to up the ante in is what we were doing with affordable development this year. We're doing quite a bit, and I know we're not a CBDO, so we can't apply for money for new construction. But I just want to put that out there. There is new construction. We have a 2-family on Bassett Street, one on Butler Street, one on West Hazel Street, and one on Lilac Street, a single family that all are in construction right now. What I'm coming before you there are 2 renovations that we're doing also this year. And everything is already with reservation because, I mean, there's such a need for affordably priced housing in this state. So the one 470 Howard is a 3-family, beautiful, actually, historic home that is going to cost a lot of money to renovate. And then there's one also on, oh my goodness, I'm having a brain fart. It's 27 Front Street, thank you, which is a single family house that we will be doing a gut renovation on and selling to a first time home buyer. And of course, everyone would be 80% or below of the median income.
Any other questions from colleagues? Alderman Wingate.
Yeah, the historical home, are there additional fundings for the historical home?
You know, it's kind of a catch-22 situation because whereas there are additional funds you can get through SHPO for a historical home, there also are very stringent guidelines that add to the cost. And so sometimes it's are we really getting something out of it? because at the end of the day, sometimes the missions are not aligned. I find that's more for historical renovation for like a museum, not like a house that someone is gonna move in, and you wanna make sure that, you know, their utility costs and things like that are down. So sometimes they'll say, oh, we wanna keep all the windows, or not so much of the insulation. So it's a fine dance, sometimes.
Yeah, because I had the opportunity 15, 16 years ago to hit a historical home through New Haven House Services.
Mhm.
And I'm still at, so I didn't know if there was additional funding around that.
But there is some addition, and we're trying to work on that now, that fine dance, sometimes that we have to do. But that is a very big home, so that's gonna be very costly.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Thank you for the great work. Tell Jim I said hi.
I will, thank you.
Any other questions from colleagues?
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So you mentioned, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So you mentioned the property that is on Howard Avenue, that's the historical home, the brownstone. Have you reached out, and I understand what you're saying about the cost of the windows, because you have to, with historical, it's like for like, and it's very costly when it's a wood window and it's not as energy efficient. Have you connected here with folks here in the city that deal with the historical properties to see if there's any funding that they can assist you with? I know it's.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that was my question, just ensuring getting all the avenues, and I can understand with the historical properties, it's difficult for homeowners once they receive them. That I have a resident and we live in a historical district. His first floor's windows are over close to $200,000 on the first floor. So, you know, if there's anything out there that you can tap into for that property, because that property is gorgeous. Thank you for coming out today and speaking on behalf of what you're doing for the residents of New Haven. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions from colleagues? Questions from colleagues? Seeing none? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming out.
Are there any other presenters that didn't sign the list? All set, Mr.
Our
Chair.
kids. Our kids.
Okay. Are you?
No, I was waiting for, I think my wife had already testified.
Not yet. Not yet.
So, Mr. Lucas, what should we?
Yeah, bring that. So.
He's supposed to come back.
City staff.
It's the city staff, yes.
You can call city staff now?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we? Okay. The meeting closed. Okay.
Kathy Graves?
Each 71? 71. And fine.
Good evening. Name and address for the record, please. All right.
Thank you.
Please, name and address.
Good evening, Kathy Graves, 257 Stevenson Road, New Haven. Lil Snyder.
Bring that mic to you, please. Thank you.
Lil Snyder, 20 Griffin Pond Road, Branford. Okay, good evening. Once again, thank you so much for your ongoing support of our small business entrepreneurship program. We're here because we provide technical assistance, training, access to capital, networking, and mentorship opportunities to people who have an idea, have a dream, have a passion, and they want to make it into a job for themselves, where they're earning money and supporting themselves, and we help them create a sustainability line. The program participants learn business fundamentals, the responsibilities of running a business, the challenges of running and owning a business, and our instructors are experienced practitioners and volunteers in the New Haven community. and they lead all of our training sessions, and we're happy to have them, and they never ask for anything, and they give. Just happy to report some of our highlights. One thing, our signature program is DNA of an Entrepreneur. Last fiscal year, we graduated 41. 10 of the 41 are currently incarcerated. December 22 to May of 23, we currently have 25 respectively and 24 in our DNA of an Entrepreneur class. In each class, we have 4 inmates that are currently incarcerated. And we're so encouraged by them because prior to anyone joining the program or being accepted into the program, they have to give us a summary of what they perceive as their business plan so that we can take them from where they are.
Go ahead.
Oh, I thought you had a question.
No.
Okay, so we'll have 24 graduating in May, 4 will be incarcerated. And what we're doing with them this year, we're actually starting an additional day that we call office hours just for them. So they can call in during the day rather than just 1 night a week, because we realize they need additional support. Right pre-COVID, we partnered with the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven with that partnership that was with some CARES Act funds. With that partnership, we were able to leverage $115,000 of our money into $700,000 in loans. With their participation, we have saved over 120 jobs with those loans, and those loans are up to $25,000 each. All low interest loans at 4.5%. Many of these people could not get access to government funds that were available during COVID. So this was our way of helping them. And the challenge, once again, is always back office. So we're really trying to put together more programming that will support back office support. We will pay anyone that goes through our program, we will pay the first 5 hours to make sure their back office is set up properly. To date, since July 1 of 2022, we have serviced over 112 new clients. And it's very interesting, 64% of those clients are female. It used to be pretty even, almost 50-50, now it's about 64%. And about 40% are Black, African American. There are several with no response, but very low support of the Hispanic community, and we've really tried to do something with them, even offering DNA of an Entrepreneur in Spanish, but we have not been able to get support. So if we can get support on that, it would be great. Holiday Village, one of our signature programs, this year, well, I should say December of 22, we had 28 vendors on the green. Unfortunately, the weather didn't agree with us, but they look forward to it every year. Each year we try to add new partners. We've always worked with Liberty Bank and the Urban League of Southern Connecticut. There's a new program in DC. It's out of New York with state support. They have loans up to $500,000 at 4.5%. And we have another program that we're working with with the Community Foundation for Greater New Haven, and it's called NHE3, and it is a grant program for existing businesses. To date, we've given out 51 $8,000 grants, totaling $300,000. We're not just supporting the small businesses, but we're supporting the entrepreneurial support organizations that also support the small businesses. And we've given them $350,000 for their ongoing support. So we look to give out more money this year in that program. We hope that we'll be able to host some of our classes on Southern Connecticut's campus in the business school. So that's something I'm looking forward to working on in 2023. We want to strengthen our support of the inmates that are in prison because we want them to come out, and all we have to do is work with them on their credit so We've identified fundings to help them get started as well. So as you know, cannabis is new and ongoing in the city. We have one that has a special permit currently over in Westville, actually looking to expand to a larger location. And we have about 4 or 5 in the pipeline. And thanks again for your ongoing support.
Question? I'll yield if someone else has a question. Alder Wingate.
Yeah, excuse my lack of knowledge around this, information around this. So I'm trying to get a visual of how this honestly works in reference to the incarceration piece.
We had to pivot. We had to pivot online during COVID. So it's easy for them to access. They have someone in the room with them. They meet in a meeting room, and they have someone that's sitting there monitoring the stream. So they're on a monitor, so they participate like everyone else online.
So as they go through this process, they are honestly trying to come out and run a business?
We want to help them start a business, yes.
Okay. So how is that even selected?
They self-identify. So we have contacts at each of the prisons, Chester, Manson, and Duval.
Right.
And we tell them where we're going to start a class. Okay. And they recruit. Okay. And they self-identify. Okay. And let us know how many will be participating so they're able to access, or the leader is able to access all of the online instructing courses that we do. Okay. But they get to participate live and ask questions.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Alder Wingate. I have a question. So you were saying something about an $8,000 grant. Are these forgiven? Are they don't have to pay
grant money, right? And you would not believe how difficult it is to give away money.
Okay, that's good.
Currently available, so tell small businesses to please contact me.
How many did you say you gave out this year?
So far, since January, which is when it was instituted, we've given out 51, totaling a little over 300,000.
Thank you. Alder Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair, and thank you for the work that you all do. I just had a quick question, because I know you mentioned how you're struggling a bit with recruiting Spanish speakers. I actually had the opportunity over the summer to work a lot closely with some businesses in Fairhaven, predominantly Spanish-speaking community. And I know one thing that they constantly brought up was that they hear about, these grants. I think IKEA had one a few months ago, and then a few others from the state. And a big thing they brought up to me was that they struggle sometimes with the technical assistance in filling out these grant applications. Sometimes, struggling to find, piece together all the tax documents. And so I was just wondering if that's something that, we could refer, the businesses to, just so, begin to create that pipeline, that strong connection.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well then, I appreciate that. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Alder.
Yes, I don't have a question. I basically have a comment. I want to commend you for the job that you do and for the work that you do and the time and effort that you always put in. I attended one of your graduations before on Dixbo on the business side, and I'm very impressed, with the whole layout and everything. I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome. Our next graduation is, I think it's May 12th, and it's going to be here. I'm going to invite all of our graduates from COVID so that they can participate in a live graduation. So I hope you all will come.
Thank you, Alder. Alder Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to see if you mentioned you had the flyer for that DNA in Spanish. If you can, through the chairs, send it over to us so that we could be able to disseminate it into the community, the Spanish-speaking community.
So for DNA of an entrepreneur, or for the grant?
The Spanish portion that you were speaking, that it's so hard to get some of the.
So we'll have the newer one updated, and we'll have it in Spanish for you to share for our next class, which starts in the fall.
Thank you.
You can get that to staff, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Okay.
And one final comment.
Although, Rodriguez again.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also want to give you, that's a big shout out to be able to reach out to our incarcerated population in that making them feel comfortable and finding a path into a better lifestyle once they come home. So I think that's important that you're reaching folks at their most vulnerable stage where they feel unheard, unseen, and that they can't move from what brought them to the situation there. And so I want to commend you guys and really push on that because it's important to save these wives and husbands who are incarcerated, away from their families. So thank you so much for doing that. We greatly appreciate it. Information on that through the chairs also, that would be absolutely, to push it out there as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll do our best.
Thank you. Alderman Wingate, please. Yes, thank you, Ken. Just one last question for me. The grant writing part, do you do a grant writing like seminar for them or?
We don't write grants.
You don't write grants? Okay.
No, we don't write any grants.
Okay.
For people that want to set up, say, a nonprofit.
Right.
Yeah, we try to work with mostly for-profit businesses. We can teach a person that wants to start a nonprofit how to run a business, because a business is a business is a business.
Right.
Except your capital is going to be, in many cases, from grant writers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I met someone in the National League of Cities was trying to help small businesses really geared to females in reference to how to obtain grants and stuff like that. And you came to my mind, right? I'm in DC, right? Thinking about, is there any kind of connection that you can do? Because she was about the small businesses, she was about employing that space. And I did grab her card. So
I share it?
Yeah.
So one of the things I can say, it's unheard of to have grants for-profit businesses.
Right.
So this is like very new for us. Right. This collaboration through the state with the Community Foundation, it is the first time we've ever had an opportunity to give out grants to businesses.
I won't connect the two. I want to see what it looks like. Okay. All right, that's okay?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely.
I think it's gonna get this much better. You just keep doing a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Wingate. Any other questions from colleagues? Seeing none? Thank you. Thank you for the presentation.
And this is Lil Snyder.
Good evening. I'm Lil Snyder, and I'm the program manager for the Small Contractor Development Program, otherwise known as SCD. Yes, and I'm also located in economic development, where both small business and my program are divisions in economic development. What I do is I administer Chapter 12 and a quarter of the New Haven Code of Ordinances. For those of us who are not familiar with 12 and a quarter, what 12 and a quarter, it's divided into Lil Snyder.
Page 7.
We just want to follow you. We apologize.
That's okay. That's all right.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's divided into 3 components. The first component is to ensure that small, local, minority construction and construction businesses have equal opportunities in construction in city spend. The second part is to make sure that we offer, it's one thing to offer the opportunity, but if you don't offer workshops, technical assistance, help, it's for naught. So the second part is that we offer technical assistance through workshops, networking events, daily assistance. And then the third part is the actual monitoring of the program. Because, we have rules and regulations, but if nobody enforces them, again, nobody cares and nothing happens. So we have 3 areas that we work very closely with. And with COVID changed the construction industry entirely. It became very electronic. Our small contractors didn't know how to bid electronically. You know, it always was, you submit a paper bid with a lump sum. All of a sudden, we have bonfire, they have to register, they have to have a password, they have to read all their emails. And we knew that we needed to bring our contractors up to today's construction world. That's a lot of work, because today's function in construction is electronic devices, bidding electronically. Sustainability has become a really big thing. All the bid documents now include Energy Star, they include green initiatives. Our small contractors haven't had the training to understand what sustainability is. They don't know what a heat pump is or how to install a heat pump. Yet, like on the project that's going to go up at Science Park, Winchester Works, the entire heating system is heat pumps. And so what I do is try to make sure to monitor that our city spend, that our departments offer opportunities for small contractors. The way we do that is we have a sheltered budget. What we did is that everything under 150,000 in construction in the city is bid only to the contractors registered in our program, small, local minority contractors. Our department heads don't like that, because the construction industry is one that is based on relationships. We know this guy, he does all the work for us, he knows what I want to use him. Lil comes along and says, oh, no, you can't do that. Here is a list of eligible, registered contractors, construction businesses that you need to send out a bid notice to. And I have to monitor that. I have to make sure that they do what they're supposed to do. So I do a monthly report on this, of the spend of every department. And when I see that they're not complying, I call them up. Wicked Lil comes over and says, Board of Ed, Health Department, Public Works, why did you make this sidewalk construction project $1 million? Why couldn't you break it out into smaller parcels? Yeah, so we can offer more opportunities and more contractors, local small minority contractors, can bid on them. And that takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. Our workshops, last year we had 26 workshops and the attendance was amazing. And it's twofold. Because of COVID, we had to do everything by Zoom. We had great participation because of, like you said before, Olga Rodriguez, the babysitting. You didn't have to worry about a babysitter. You didn't have to worry about dinner. You could just get on Zoom and participate in the workshop. We're now slowly gearing back to in-person, because in person we're able to get more feedback one-on-one. But all the networking events, the workshops, the information on the projects that are going on in the city right now, there's a lot of projects. Right now, I have over 20 projects that we're monitoring between the city projects and the developers projects. Because years ago, thanks to our economic development department, our 12.25 requirements are now put into every LDA. So every developer that wants to get any type of consideration from the city, be it that we sold him a piece of property, be it that we gave him some assistance, be it that he got some special consideration from city plan, they then have to comply with our program, which is a major boost for our small contractors. Because the city itself, we don't do a real lot of construction. It's painting offices, it's sidewalks, it's repairs of buildings that are our own buildings that are falling down. Whereas putting it in the LDA has allowed for major impact and opportunities for our local small minority contractors. And I monitor those. I make sure what we put in the LDA was that the certificate of completion will not be executed until they have shown that they have complied with their regulations. So the opportunities for our contractors has over the years increased hundreds. what we've done in the last 2 years is because of the increase, the significant increase in Hispanic contractors in our program, we now have the application process in Spanish. We have an assistant who can offer technical assistance in Hispanics, a woman from the Fairhaven community. We have summaries of the programs in Spanish, and hopefully, if I get the funding that I've requested, I'm going to have an assistant who is fluent in Spanish to help with our day-to-day understanding of the program and where the opportunities are. So you see the need is continuous for our program. And the increase in opportunities, we want to take advantage, have our construction contractors take advantage of all the opportunities. And the way they start is by knowing that those jobs are there. And the way they know them is that our office sends out every Monday an email blast to every contractor who's registered in our program about every single bid that's going on in the city of New Haven. And so they don't have to read the paper. They don't have to wait to see it when you come home, you've worked all day, you're tired. You don't have time to look for the other job, but you do look at your cell phone and you do look at your emails. And so every Monday, our office sends out that notice saying the city of New Haven is bidding this. Carter Winstanley is looking for this. The Coliseum site is looking for this. And it has made a drastic change in the participation. We also, hopefully, if we receive the assistance that I've requested, we will be able to also put that email blast out in Spanish. And so, all your consideration is very much needed, for our department as well as for the contractors in our program. Thank you.
Questions from colleagues?
I appreciate what you just said, that if you receive the monies, you would have this paperwork put in Spanish. I think that should be an undertaking that should already be happening because we have such a large Hispanic population. So please, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. It's a disservice to not have, paperwork now in the language that you have many minority contractors that the majority of them are bilingual, but it would be great to get that moving so we can be.
Yeah, I agree.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. And we now have the application in Spanish, and we now have the summary of the program in Spanish. It's what I'm looking for is that individual who can in person provide that assistance. And of course, we don't, there's so many requests that if it doesn't happen, I'm going to look for every source possible to come up. Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So I just want to comment on, thank you. We look over the city, the sidewalk system. We've got a lot of small contractors and we're getting a lot of sidewalks done. So I really appreciate what's going on.
Oh, well, that's, I can talk about our program forever. And please feel free if you want additional information to contact me because I can always use additional help. And we have so many projects going on. And if you happen to know of contractors who are not enrolled in our program, please send them to me because there is a nationwide shortage of skilled labor. And so we're always trying to help build a capacity of at least focus on our New Haven small minority contractors.
I will make this comment that it does seem like a much more fair way of doing things.
Yes.
As far as contracting. Appreciate that. All the street.
Yes. Well, I would like to know your contact information, what department to contact you at, and I'm all in the 21st Ward, so I do see all the. I met the people about the Science Park area and Winchester Avenue area and Munson Street area. So, like you said, the language and everything that's going on over there, I am happy to see the diversity that is over there, right through there often and speak with them. And I just think, like you said, it was used to be the good old, this one's already right, and now that's changing, and it's good to see that.
Yes, yeah, and I will have, the algebraic office, or do you want it now? I can give you my phone number.
Yes, I'll just write it down.
203
Yeah.
946
Mhm.
6550.
Thank you.
And welcome to,
Thank you.
Yeah, we can get that information through both chairs,
Yeah.
Douglas and myself.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, we can get that to the whole administrator.
I'd appreciate all your help because the group keeps growing and we need to be able to offer more as much as we can.
So again, through the chairs, if you can send that information and they'll disseminate it over to our department. Thank you so much for that presentation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for the presentation.
Oh, if I got a little winded, I'm sorry.
No worries. You get a lot, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Do we have a representative from our kids here? Can you come on up, please? Thank you again so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
71, page 71. Can you please state your name and address for the record, please?
My home address? Sure. Randy Ruben Rodriguez, 142 Judwin Avenue, New Haven, Connecticut.
Sergio Rodriguez, 142 Judwin Avenue, New Haven, Connecticut. I'm here as part of moral support for the Art Kids Family Center and as a co-founder of the Art Kids Family Center.
Sounds good. You may state your case.
So thank you, first of all, to all of you, because I do know personally how much time is involved in the work that each of you does. Having had a partner for 10 years doing this. Some of you do know us very well and others don't know us very well. Our Kids was founded in 1996 in the kitchen at 142 Judwin Avenue and ended up successfully at 45 Dixwell Avenue through the support of the Board of Alders who transferred property to us in 1999. That was lead and contaminated and abandoned for many, many years, and drug and police involved. Over the years, we initially built a family center of 4,300 square feet, a single story. However, because of the proximity to Yale on the southern side and Mr. Reeves Barbershop on the north side, which was only 28 feet wide, we built the capacity for a second story. After 18 years on the block, we were successful at securing $4.2 million and expanding our existing facility from 4,300 square feet to 15,000 square feet, increasing the value of the property from zero when we were first given the property to over $5 million in the most recent assessment that we currently have. Our mission is to provide permanency to some of our most vulnerable children who are residing in out-of-home care after several traumatic experiences in their lives. And our work is really defined by the best interests of children. And when possible, our priority is to reunify with biological parents, and if not parents, biological family. And if none of that is possible, then we are licensed by the state of Connecticut to do both domestic adoptions and international adoptions. We also have an after-school program. Well, it occurs after school, but it is a full wraparound school program because our staff work with the teachers, work with IEPs, PPTs, with the foster families, kin, grandparents, provide support groups to the caregivers of our children, as well as having staff on board for that program. Our teacher is a certified New Haven teacher who has his principal's certification, whatever that number is, 092. Our staff represent adults who are adult adoptees, as well as our mentors are now young people who previously resided in foster care and are graduating college and have been reunified. One of our mentors actually came to our program when she was 4 years old, and she's now graduating and going on to Gateway in September. So I am here today because we, unfortunately, when we met with zoning originally in the design of our building, we were given the lighting regulations that were part of the code. And at that time, there was no mention of the fact that we were part of the Light the Night program. And so we had exceptionally wonderful lighting in our parking lot and the front of the building because of that Light the Night project through UI in the city. Because of the structure of the building, the Light the Night fixtures had to be taken down because the wires could no longer be that close to the expansion of the cantilever of our facility. And the candles of light that are allowed by code are very, very dim. And as a result, our parking lot is very dark at night. The building next to us is even taller than we are, and it's the north side of the building. So it's very dark, and that's the exit that the children and our staff leave to return after visits or after school programming. And the front of the building now, ironically, which I never thought of, because it was a single story, we had a lot of skylight in the street in front of our building, and lighting was never a problem. You know, we have standard lighting on the far ends of either side of the building. But now, because of our building being so tall, we don't have that light coming onto the sidewalk. And if you go down Dixwell at night from Broadway up, you will see how dark the beginning of that strip is. It's really, really dark. I was surprised that it was nothing we anticipated, I guess. And so part of what we're looking to do with hard money now is revise the lighting at a higher leverage so that, one, it increases safety in the neighborhood, which had never historically been a problem, which has become a problem, unfortunately, in a lot of our neighborhoods, not just our neighborhood. But at one point, our triangle was always the safest in the city. Everybody used to say, oh, you're on Dixwell? Yeah, the safest triangle in the city. Because we did have the lowest incidence of crime and vandalism and whatnot. Unfortunately, that's no longer the case, and there are quite a few shootings in our neighborhood that affect our staff when they go out on home visits and to go pick up kids that are coming in for visits. So part of our request is to hire a minority-owned business electrician company, Frontline, to do the revised lighting on the front of the building and the side, and to also enhance our internal intercom system between visits so that one can actually hear what is going on in a visit if you're not sitting in the visit, although all of our staff typically are in the visits. But if the court wanted to come in and monitor, or DCF or an attorney, if they were sat in our observation room, they could not hear what was going on in the visit. So that's a problem, and we don't allow phones, so it doesn't quite work. So that's the hard money request. The cost that it was appraised for $40,000, and we're requesting 20 because we do have some funding left over from our donors in our original capital campaign. The second request is for soft money, public service money, if you will.
89.
89. Just a second so we can get to that.
Sure.
Thank you.
While you're looking, I'll just share with you that Sergio and I, and for those of you who don't know us, when we decided to get into this venture, decided, although we knew all this work professionally, we didn't know it personally. And so we became licensed as foster parents through the Department of Children and Families, and had almost 50 children come through our home over a 10-year period. While we were getting the organization up and running, legally adopted 2, one we adopted as an adult, and the other we adopted as a 3-year-old. And then we have about 4 or 5 others who have adopted us. And 5 wonderful grandsons. I'm waiting for a granddaughter. Okay, our public service request, part of our expansion was because one of the things that we saw being the first national birth to 0 to 3 safe babies court team in Connecticut was that babies were being removed and they were not being returned in a timely manner, shall we say. And part of what began happening was babies were attaching to their caregivers, be it foster families, other family members, and the attachment to their original birth parents began to really waver. Attachment is a key issue for people being able to grow up and have healthy relationships, be it work relationships, intimate relationships, familial relationships. And so we really felt that because of our very incredible staff who engage our families visit. We don't have parents who don't show up to see their kids. They're there all the time. They're also there to maybe fax a document or get an interpretation of something they've received. But because of our ability to engage with the parents, we really felt that we were in a good position to provide a multi-generational approach to healing families. And so in this expansion, DCF authorized a bond of $1 million to fund this building piece. We added on an infant toddler family trauma center called the Resiliency Center, which is the very back of the building. So it's very, very private with a beautiful backyard and a gorgeous big rainbow back there, a beautiful fence for the children to play. And it's designed for infants under the age of 3 and their caretakers to be on site together so that parents will have their treatment plans and their programming going on. At the same time, we will have therapeutic childcare going on with the babies to work with healing a lot of their trauma, being able to bring parents into the childcare center and work with the child psychologist, work with the therapeutic staff, work with the nutritionist, bring the nutritionist into the parents group so that they can have their own educational opportunities on food insecurities and how to manage their budgets and how to provide for their babies and toddlers. The APRN position is mandated through licensing. And we see this position as really valuable because we know how healthcare is not accessed by our community. Typically between 70 and 80% of the families and children we see are children of families of color. And they have a very hard time accessing healthcare. And when they do, they don't understand what they've just been told. So we really see having this APRN on site more hours than is required by the licensing of childcare as a vehicle for helping parents to ask the questions they need to ask, understand what's being told, not just infant toddler care. And because we are not a billable system like Yale or the big boys and girls in our city, this is not a service at this point in our implementation that we can bill for. Billing is very complex, and if you don't do it well, you get clobbered in an audit. They'll pull 10 files, and if there are 2 errors, they're going to withdraw 20% of your Medicaid reimbursement rate, which is like, who can afford that? So at this stage, we really need your support, which is why in this grant, we're requesting $40,000 of the $47,000 of the cost. And I know that's a lot of money. But I think given the history of the organization, what we've accomplished, our reunification rates, which are off the charts compared to state and national statistics. We typically, since our inception, we've reunified between 84 and 93% of our families. That is our priority, and we do everything possible to get our parents ready and available. So, questions?
Any questions from colleagues?
I'd love for anybody to come who hasn't been to our ribbon cutting, which was a big smashing success. You were there, along with 249 other people.
Yeah, we'd love to have you visit and see the facility.
So the really nice facility, we all should take a trip up there.
Alderman
I just want to say hi to my fellow alderman.
Thank you, Alderman Gay. I heard your wonderful NLC experience.
Absolutely.
I did bring my business card. We're in the process because we're implementing these new programs of revising all our printed literature, which, by the way, all of our services are available in English and Spanish. We have staff from many different cultures, you know, Puerto Rican, Ecuadorian, DR, African, Caucasian, Jewish.
I have a question.
Sure.
I may have missed it. Tell us a little bit about some of the success stories. How many families are you servicing right now?
So a family is a family is a family. Our contract with the Department of Children and Families right now is 54 families.
54.
54 families this year so far has exceeded 223 children. Because a family is however many parents and however many children. Be it one mom, 3 dads, and 6 kids, 2 moms, 3 dads, 4 children. It's very, very complicated, so that although 54 sounds like a small number, the number that we're servicing in terms of the actual population is really quite large. And we also provide services to the foster families. And for example, at Christmas time, we do a very big Christmas drive for our families. All the children in that home, be they bio children, other foster children who are there who are not our clients, everybody is gifted. Everybody is invited to participate. So the number is pretty large. And I think, you know, during COVID, our staff did an amazing job. We went from, you know, March 10th, having no computers with cameras, to March 13th being shut down, and our staff not being able to come to work, although myself and our director of programs was there every day. Went out, bought 12 new laptops on our bank line of credit. And then fortunately got funded through the community foundation to cover that cost. But learned how to Zoom, taught parents how to Zoom, taught great grandmas how to Zoom with their children. It was amazing what went on. And during that time, we reunified families, we reunified dads, single dads with their children. Were written up by the Department of Children and Families for the work that we did, particularly with that dad, which was really exceptional. You know, it's hard to imagine, but you know, you don't have your child who's 4 months old with you. And the only way you get to see them is on a foster parent's lap through a screen like that, a 4-month-old. And to have the fortitude to keep coming to that baby over there really says a lot about the dad. And what we did in this case was we made sure that the foster mom had baby books to read, and we used the same baby books and had him start reading to the baby while the foster mom had the book and could go through the book with him. And after about the 4th visit, and the father was getting quite discouraged because it's hard to watch somebody else comfort your own child, you know, it's just hard, or do something the way you never would do it. But by the fourth visit, when he got there and he called the little one's name, and the baby was like on tummy time, which is lying on a blanket, and he called the baby's name, and the baby lifted his head. And it was like, the dad, it was like one of those explosive, very tearful moments for all of us. It's hard work. It's hard work. And it's also very hard when the team recommends that a child should not be returned. And helping a parent recognize that it's really in their child's best interest, that it's really the biggest act of love that they could do to relinquish their rights.
Thank you. Not to cut you short, but we want to move on. So
You wanted.
Thank you for your
Success.
presentation.
I have one question. Just a really quick question, my bad, sorry. No, I was just wondering because, in the software request, the public service request, since you all got approved for 60,000 from CHEFA, is this for something separate, or is this?
It was to begin the design of the infant toddler room. So we actually spent almost $40,000 in just equipment for the infant toddler room.
Okay.
Our play yard surface cost $28,000 for 900 square feet.
Okay, thank you for that.
Mr. Chairman and honorable members, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for your support and for your efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public wishing to testify? Again, is there anyone from the public wishing to testify on any of these items? And for the third time, is there anyone from the public wishing to testify on any of these items?
At this moment, I make a motion to close the public portion.
Second.
Motion has been moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All against? Any abstentions? The motion closed, passed, and the public hearings closed. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion has been moved and second. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. This meeting is adjourned.
Not this week, Monday. Not this week, Monday.